tonight I'll be talking about hatred and goodwill, or love is sort of a bit more of a straightforward way of saying it. I'll try and keep it simple, but it's kind of famous last words, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, I'll keep it simple in the sense I'll talk about hate, and then I'll talk about love. That'll be it. Right. So, yeah, hate is a poison, and I don't mean that in a sort of technical Buddhist way, but in a straightforward, literal way. The Buddha showed that there's no soul in any fixed, eternal sense, but yeah, hate, to speak poetically, hate poisons your soul. Hate poisons your mind. Hate poisons your view of people, and it poisons your life, poisons your speech, poisons your body, and you can feel it when you've got hate in you. You get all hard and contracted. Yeah, it poisons the atmosphere, poisons the world. I could go on. Hate poisons society. Yeah, and it poisons you to the extent that you can kill from it. So, yeah, it's obviously the root of things. Yeah, and it's interesting, as a society we're very aware and concerned with sort of toxic waste destroying the environment, but we're not really very aware or that concerned with the kind of toxic effect of hatred on the world. And actually that's fair enough, really, because hate is so kind of ugly and repulsive that even talking about it now is kind of unpleasant in a way. Another reason I think we're not that aware or concerned, well, maybe not concerned, but we're not that aware about hatred is because we don't have, in a way, we don't have any real way of engaging with it, or even approaching it in our kind of secular materialistic society. What I mean by that is, if our worldview is, well, we're all just human, and hate is part of being human, well, what can you do? You have to make the best of it, that's that, and you can't really go any further with it, which is fair enough, actually, with that kind of view. Yeah, in a way, it's not really possible to look at hatred with that view, because you'd be looking at it without any hope of a solution. So it feels kind of pointless and actually really unpleasant to go there. So I think it's fair enough that we don't want to go there, actually. I mean, this is kind of, I don't mean this in a horrible way, or kind of, but from a kind of secular materialist sort of point of view, really the only thing you can do, and this is a bad way of saying it, but it's kind of try and be nice to people and good. It's very good. It's very nice to be nice to people, isn't it? It's good, but that's kind of what you're left with at the end of it. But really, when you're looking at the forces, when you're looking at hatred, you're kind of looking at some kind of primal forces. And when you really look at hate, that kind of nice or being good, it just doesn't stand up to it. Hatred, when it's really raging like an inferno, as it is, unfortunately, all over the world, it just kind of brushes. I'm not negating general, I'll get onto that later, goodwill, but just trying to be nice when you're faced with that kind of fury, it doesn't quite hold up, I think, in that sort of furnace in a way. So yeah, in a way, there's no standing still. You can't kind of, there's no standing still in the Dharma life and practicing the Dharma. You have to be kind of vigorous. You have to be doing the opposite. You have to be cultivating love in a way, intentionally. Otherwise, in the end, I mean, we've got fantastic conditions in this country. It's unbelievable. There's no wars. There's no famine. But if you're kind of up against that, it's very difficult to do much if you're not, in a certain sense, cultivating the opposite intentionally. Sounds like such a cliche these days, but actually when you go into it, it's deep, isn't it? Like, only love can conquer hate. But in a way that has to be a transcendent love. the transcendent love that kind of really feels into the lives of others. But yeah, talking about hate in this way, it can all sound a bit abstract, because it's not that often we think, God, I'm such a hateful person, I'm filled with hate. It's more like the sort of subsidiaries or the kind of the other areas of it, at least in our society, when you've got law and order and peace, and it's more the kind of little things that we do tend to do. So it's not an exhaustive list given in this book, but it's really helpful. So you've got lovely things like resentment, friendly spite, envy, and I don't really know how to talk about this without, in a way, talking from my own life in a way, because I don't have the kind of words or the technical know-how to kind of get it across otherwise. So it's kind of embarrassing and shameful, especially as I'm being videoed as well. But I didn't know I was going to be videoed, so that's not great. But never mind. It's okay. So yeah, I was kind of not in a past life, literally, but in a past life, I was in the music business, and it's like I had this dream when I was younger. I was going for the crown in a way. That was my kind of goal. So yeah, I got this kind of secret delight. Anyway, just say it. I got this kind of secret delight when like someone famous was like losing it. Like they were in rehab or something, or even they died. And I'd be like, oh, there's more space for me now to kind of move into this. It's mad, isn't it? It's disgraceful. I'm sitting here saying this, but hopefully I'm a changed man, Yeah, so, I mean, Subhuti expresses it so well in this book that I may as well just read what he has to say. If we inwardly accuse ourselves of lacking achievement, worth, or popularity, especially if the accusation is not fully conscious, we may feel hurt by the success of others in any of these departments. To get rid of that hurt, we may want to take the envied person down a peg or two to close that painful gap a bit. So that's not great, is it? But there we go. So don't worry, we're going to get on to the love bit afterwards, and we're going to leave happy and it's all going to be all right, I hope, if I've got time. So there's all sorts of lists in Buddhism, sort of charting different mental states and charting also negative mental states, positive states. It's kind of exhaustive in a way, and it becomes abundantly clear that the Buddha taught that there's absolutely no room for hatred in any form in the spiritual life, like none. So yeah, that's pretty tall order, but it's I'll get onto I'll open it out a little bit in a minute, but it's pretty there's no room for kind of righteous indignation and just saying, oh well, he did this and it's natural to feel like that, and it's like it's not really, that's not really on the table. So even little things are just can be quite big things. So a while back, a friend of mine who's in Poland, I went to visit him, and I was talking about my family history, and he sort of said, oh yeah, no, that's not a Russian surname. This is before I was ordained. That's not a Russian surname, that's Chechen. So, oh wow, that's exciting, So I kind of went on, I started getting interested in Chechnya and what happened there. And it was a bit like Yugoslavia. It's one of those places that were like it's not a paradise place, but beautiful mountain ranges and all this kind of stuff. And when the wall came down after Perestroika, it was chaos, and you had, I don't know if a lot of people remember Boris Yeltsin, but maybe some people won't, but he was quite a character. But they had real problems because Chechnya as a state, when Russia, the empire was falling apart, wanted to break away. And they had a leader there called Dudayev, which is scarily close to my old surname. But Yeltsin wouldn't talk to him. He didn't like him. And he really didn't want to engage in negotiations with him when all this was going on. So he sent somebody that he knew would absolutely fluff it up. And it's sort of really clear that Yeltsin would rather a war go on because he couldn't actually talk to this person. So it's like, it's a small thing, like he wanted to avoid this man. And it ended up in turning a place like Chechnya into an absolute kind of like a pit, a toxic kind of pit. So that's why there's no place for it in a way, in terms of justifying hate, because even little avoidances that seem kind of innocent, yeah, we all do it. I do it all the time, but you still got to kind of, if there's no front foot to it, if you're not challenging that, you're kind of, anything's possible in a way. So yeah, it's never justifiable, it's never okay, and there's no getting out of it. So you say, yeah, how's one supposed to act really? Yeah, but that said, it is absolutely crucial that we do see our own hate, you know, and we do get the experience of it, and all the little shoots of hatred. God, it's a bit heavy talking about, isn't it? But never mind, got to talk about it. But yeah, so it's like, okay, obviously, not hating is what we want, but you've got to start by looking at where you are. You can't kind of go from where you're not, because you end up running where you're going or where you come from. You kind of it's a fantasy really otherwise. So yeah, you need to know exactly what you're dealing with as human beings. And you were right, you know, talking about the beautiful, but this is just the negative bit. But, you know, human beings are kind of highly dangerous animals on one level. And all of us in this room, we're all dangerous. That's a fact, actually. And we need to know that, because then we can transform that into its opposite, which is love. And if we don't know what we're dealing with, we're in trouble, basically, because there's like, you know, giant creatures swimming under the surface. And we're like, oh, I'm such a good person, I'm so lovely. Yeah, we are. But given the wrong conditions, yeah, we're not so lovely, you know. Yeah, so, but if we do know those forces, then, and they are forces, they're energies, like you were saying again, there's a lot of creativity and vast amounts of energy that can get unblocked. It's like you can't, if you're not willing to kind of go there, so much energy in your life. It's like, I find it terrifying, look at my own life, how under par I've been for so long. I'm just feeling like I'm getting a little bit of energy back now. But man, it's just like so much of my energy is not been available to me. And I think it's because I've not been going to those places in a way. I don't mean like getting all dark and all me, but it comes out of a practice, I think. Oh God, this is my little example. Oh dear. Anyway, so yeah, it's funny. Well, it's funny, alright. Yeah, it's not funny, but it's funny because I spent quite a lot of time when I was younger, growing up around sort of gangsters in one way or another, and even killers. I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous and absurd, but I mean this. Like, I've genuinely been more scared of certain nice Buddhists that I've met, because it's like it's mad, isn't it? But really, because kind of with people that are used to doing harm to us, like gangsters, well, yeah, anyway, all these sort of people, they know what they do and they know what they're capable of. So, you know, we stand with them. You're kind of not safe, obviously, but you're kind of like, do you know what I mean? It's like people know, you know where you are with them, and it's kind of okay. Whereas if you get someone who's just perpetually kind of, it's like, oh, I'm so happy, you know, really, you think, oh God, you know, like you're sort of lying on a tree. I have been, honestly, like with one eye open, thinking, oh God, you know, because it's just like something's not quite right here. There's something not quite acknowledged that could turn into something. Anyway, let's not. Just forget all that. So that was my little example. Yeah, no, and for me actually, I feel like one of the real blessings for me, getting involved with Tree Ratna and going through the whole ordination process, and before that, and through friendship actually, primarily. Is been getting to know those sides of myself. It's been like a revelation to me, actually. It's been amazing. You know, like the person that got me into Buddhism where I was living in Bristol, I didn't know any sort of people like this. I didn't know anything like this sort of was really going on. I wasn't in that frame of mind. And I had all these thoughts thinking, oh God, you can't, yeah, people think I'm a psychopath if I tell what, you know, any of these little dreams or thoughts. And I kind of said it to this person. I said, I'm going to say what I said. I can't remember actually, thankfully. But I said, blah, blah, blah. And he was just so nonchalant. He was like, oh, yeah. And then he told me what kind of things that he was thinking. I was like my... and it was just like a liberation, you know what I mean? Like, it all came out. And I was just like able to tell him try another one, like, oh, what about this? And it's like, oh yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? That relates to blah, blah, blah. And I thought, oh, that's amazing. I could just say this stuff, and I'm not being condemned. I'm not having people kind of crossing the road and thinking, oh, God, don't say him again, you know. It's just like, it was fantastic. It was a real liberation, huh? Yeah. Yeah, and in a way, so that process, he helped me not to be afraid of those darker sides, and I'm really profoundly grateful to him for that. It's kind of like it was all on the table, and it still is all on the table for me now, and it is with other people I know, and it's kind of clean for that. It's not something that's lurking. It's like it's clean. It's not clean. Well, it is clean. It's clean. It's just like I'm unenlightened. This is what it is, you know. And so yeah, because there's something one can do with that anger in a way if it's there, and rage. It's a kind of energy, and Subhuti talks about. It's very interesting. He starts talking about the kind of anger as the kind of primal energy of anger as well. It's not just that straightforward anger and hatred. There's other things going on with it as well, you know, which actually are sort of neutral in their as to what they are. I'll try and explain that in a minute. Oh, I've got another exciting. Oh dear. Yeah, here we go. But yeah, it's a kind of primal energy. Yeah. So basically, my another beautiful example from my life is my mother's Danish. She lives in Denmark, and she lived in this awful tower block, which the locals called Suicide Tower, because all people coming out of jail got put in there. It's full of addicts and dealers and all sorts of people. And I was staying there a few years ago. I lived with her for a few months, and it's a miraculous story in a way, but it is. And there was a guy downstairs who's, I don't know what he was on, but he was banging the music out for like a week with all his friends. My mum was getting sick, like literally getting ill, like from all the kind of, you know, you never know when the music's going to come on 3 a.m, 4 a.m. And I was just like, no, love, I send him love metta through the floorboards, you know, like all this, yeah. And then it just one night at 3 a.m, it came on again. It's like, I don't know, it was Jimi Hendrix or something. He's like from the 60s, this guy, and it's just, oh my God, it was just, and I lost it. I just sat in the dark, and I was like, right, that's it, that's it. And I just jacked in the Buddhist card. I said to myself, this before I was ordained, don't worry. Yeah. and I said to myself, oh, I'm obviously a rubbish Buddhist then, you know. It was like, my practice has been worth nothing over these years, because I'm about to go down. You had like 5 or 6 people in. I thought this is going to get totally out of hand. Anything can happen. But I can't let my mum get sick. I was really at the end of my tether. And it was a bit, well, for me it was a bit like a miracle in a way, because funny enough, I had this little Tara. It won't mean much to you if you don't know, but it's like a Buddha rupa, like a small rupa, and it was sitting there. I bought it for her actually, and she didn't really want it. She gave it back to me, but I had it there, and it was sitting on this table. And anyway, yeah, okay, but and it was sitting on this table, and yeah, I was ready to go, and all the energy was up. It's like, poof, like I'd been denying it all. I didn't want to get involved. All the energy's there. I'm like incandescent, ready to go, and I kind of looked at this rupa, and it's got this mudra, this gesture, and it was just so peaceful. It was just smiling. It was just like so kind, and yeah, it just kind of it just said stop. It's okay, you know. And it was like a miracle, because it went from being that to being I was still going to go down, but I don't know. Anyway, it sounds ridiculous, but I was going to go down, but go with love, and I was going to knock on his door, and I thought if he slaps me about a bit, it's not so bad, you know. It's like you get a few bruises and blah blah blah. But I thought this isn't on, you know. You've got to stand your ground. I'm going to talk to this guy, and so it's all this energy. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of. It was like a miracle. And anyway, the music went down like after that. That's not the miracle. I don't know what that was. He probably just fell asleep. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it was like a miracle. I'd never expected that. It was like the point of total despair, where I just thought Buddhism's pointless. It doesn't do anything. You know, I've practiced all these years. When it comes to the crunch, I'm useless, because now I'm going to do this thing that is like obviously the total opposite. But it kind of went 180, and that, for me, that was just a real eye opener. It was kind of mind blowing. So yeah, what I came to the conclusion with that in a way was that energy kind of allows engagement, you know. It's like if you don't have your energy, you can't really engage with life, and you can't do anything about it. It's like, oh no, it's all right, it's all right. Then poof, the energy's there, which was on one hand was ready to go with violence, but the energy was up, 'cause it's going to engage, and then didn't have to do that. It could have gone with love. But it was interesting. It was just like the energy was up, because before the energy was up, I didn't want to really get into it. So I don't know where I'm going with all that, but it seems to be to do with acknowledging what you really feel. Do you know what I mean? Like what you really feel, not pretending to be a good Buddhist. It's like I feel this, oh dear, and then hopefully if you've been doing the metta bhavana, which I thought it was very good what you were saying, like in the way, and you know, it's like that's why you do it, because then, well, I don't know what happened. I felt like something else came in because it didn't feel like me, but. Anyway, okay, so that's hate. Yeah, great. Done hate. That was nice. Nice. Oh, a nice, tasty hate. Yeah, enjoyable, eh? Yeah. So I want to talk about love a bit. Yeah, so personally, it might make sense after my fantastic disclosures, but personally, I was never really attracted to Buddhism in a big way until I heard Bhante Sangharakshita's talks on tape when I was living in Bristol. Bhante Sangharakshita is the man that founded this order. And I think that's because beforehand, I always just thought, I just wasn't interested. Like Buddhists, they just seemed really boring to me, like sort of, from what I'd looked, they seemed like emotionless, kind of mindful people, sort of, you know, all being mindful. I thought, oh God, you know, it's just like, oh, count me out, you know. It was just like, yeah, and I just thought, however mindful and happy they were, I didn't want it, you know. It's what they say about me, but you know, anyway. I kind of wanted something passion, yeah, some passion and colour in life. So like I say, it's like listening to Sangharakshita's talks changed all that. There was all this passion, I mean you wouldn't call it, but yeah, passion and fire in his voice, but held in a kind of, sort of crystalline wisdom, and it was like it had clear guidelines, which was love, it was kindness, but there was that kind of energy, and this I thought, yeah, this is it actually. Yeah. So yeah, like the energy in hate or under hate. Where have I gone with that? Sorry. I've lost it a bit here. I wrote this very quickly. I'm not making. It is an excuse. Never mind. Yeah, I'll forget that. Okay. So basically, love. I like calling it love. I mean, it's. I struggle sometimes with Buddhist words because I'm not really from. The words don't resonate so deeply with me in a way, like metta, and it's just I don't really. It doesn't do much to me a lot of the time, Buddhist words. So I find so I'll just call it love. But it's not. I mean, maybe you've heard it all before, but it's in Buddhism. It's not love in a kind of sticky, needy love that's kind of can very quickly turn into hatred when it's all denied. It's love in a kind of. Sense of friendly. Well, it's like it goes on to goodwill, doesn't it? Goodwill sounds so kind of. Well, it sounds a bit trite, doesn't it? Like goodwill. It's like, but it's goodwill. But goodwill's again, it's sort of miraculous in a way. Metta in a way is like that taken to its extreme. It's friendliness, in a way that we can't even imagine really. But so yeah, in Buddhism, there's many levels. Could say of love, yeah, and it starts with basic friendliness and goodwill, and goes all the way, a bit like Maitreya Bandhu was saying earlier. It goes all the way to a state that's kind of unimaginable for us, actually. Yeah, a kind of deep love. Yeah, it's unimaginable. A deep love that for all that lives. You know, and you can think about that and get on with your life and say, oh, that's interesting, yeah. But if you really think on that, that's pretty mind-blowing, actually. Yeah, a kind of, it goes up to a kindness that's indestructible, yeah? That can't be swayed even in the face of the worst violence. that's miraculous. That's something. It's not a passive kind of anemic love, which is unfortunately again my, But when I looked at Buddhists, I just thought, oh God, it's a bit, like sort of. For me, I just thought it was anemic. It's probably because I've never met any Buddhists. And that's probably why I had that view. But yeah, it's love that's it's something powerful. Yeah, not as in overpowering hate. Like with the sword, love. Going to overpower hate, but powerful in a sense that it's just of a different order altogether. And all of us have this experience. It's just like you've had it. Everyone's had that experience where you're faced with something like that little miraculous thing where you kind of, you're not trying to fight it or trying to wish them, hold on to your love for them. It's like you're not doing that anymore. Something happens where you go on. There's a different level, and it's like wisdom. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's what they say in Buddhism. It's like love and wisdom, essentially the same things. It's like love being the expression of wisdom, really. In the world, how you act in the world, is expression of wisdom. So it's kind of above and beyond the situation. But then, yes, as Maitreya Bandhu was saying earlier in the day, that can seem a bit lofty, and it is, obviously, because we're kind of where we are in our lives. But yeah, Maitreya Bandhu is saying everything dissolves back into friendship. So in a certain sense, it's really simple love, isn't it? It's just, there's people in front of you, and they're not objects. People aren't objects. They're not kind of getting in the way of your life. You're not kind of going through your life and there's these annoying object walking about. It's like. And again, if there was some CCTV footage of me in Oxford Street 3 weeks ago, walking down Oxford Street, it would be incredibly embarrassing after me sitting here saying that. Just like watching myself at the time as well. I just thought, this is shameful. All these objects getting in my way when I'm trying to get to the tube. But so I think it's important. It's important to kind of bring it down to that level because it's not an abstract. It's people. Yeah, it's people. Life, like much I was saying earlier, we've been in this teacher training course here. It's been excellent, and it's just like when you're dealing with talking about the world, you're talking about people. You're not talking about some abstract world where, like you're saying, people are going to get saved. You're going to save the world. It's people. It's nothing else than that, really, and animals. But yeah, so metta. So basically, when we say the word metta, in terms of what it actually means in Buddhism, we've got no idea what we're talking about at all, because in reality, it is so beyond us. That somehow, I do it all the time, I try and bring it down to a day-to-day level, bring it down to my level as if I understand what metta is. But it's something, it's like the pinnacle of life in a way. It's something beyond what we understand, but we do have intimations of it in our day-to-day in friendship, and that's the seed and that's the start. You start with friendship, and it can be, I find it just extraordinary how it can change practicing the Dharma. It's just like it works basically. We can bring it down to our we can bring metta down to our kind of day-to-day mind and think we've got a grip on it, and I know about that, and Buddhism's getting a bit boring now because I know what metta is, and it's all right, but it didn't really, it's like you can do that. Or it can be some kind of spiritual fantasy, where it kind of gets refined out of existence. It's like, it sort of becomes unreal to us. It's just like, again, it doesn't have a purchase, but metta is, it's very real. And in a way, it's the only real thing we have in this life, actually. I think that's the truth. It is, love. In the sense that I was trying to talk about earlier, is literally the only thing that we really have in this life, and the rest is a kind of big game, really. It's a sort of side issue, weirdly enough. Like you fiddling up. Why am I sitting on this stupid phone, fiddling around all day? It's mad, isn't it? But I am, So, So I think I kind of, it's been quite interesting recently. I think I kind of, that's hit me quite strongly because I've got a friend of mine, his name's Janananda, who's dying of cancer at the moment, and yeah, he's kind of near the end. He doesn't have long to live, but he's got kind of brain cancer, so he's still walking around and going to the centre and meditating. So it's very, very, it's quite, I don't know how to say it without disrespecting the situation, but it's quite, yeah, strong, huh? But it's quite strong being with him because, yeah, he's kind of being essentialized in a way. You know, it's all being stripped back. So his body's being stripped back, his life's being stripped, everything's being stripped back, being let go of, you know. And he's, yeah, for me, it's incredible. He's still meditating. He's still, and it's like he's almost, yeah, he's becoming essentialized. Huh? Yeah, no, it's interesting. I went for a walk with him in a park near where he lives, because he could still walk, you know. Anyway, and it was just really interesting. It was a sunny day, and he had his hat, and he's got kind of one eye now, and it's just like, and yeah, it was just being with him. He was kind of looking at all these people, and he was just like, yeah, it's really simple. Are these people real to you? You know, are you with them? That's basically all. That's all it is. Do you know what I mean? So when you get to the end, that's all it is. And forgiveness. I don't know why. I don't quite understand that. But he's talking in terms of forgiveness. But it's the same area, isn't it? It's love. It's relationships. It's relationships with people. It's about love and forgiveness. And that's really like all the other stuff is a side issue. Huh? You can kind of spend your whole life on the sidelines. It's like that's pretty straightforward to me after being with him. Huh? Yeah. So I didn't really understand that before, but I mean, I'm only, you know, baby steps. Only just sort of beginning to get that now in a way. It's like love makes you strong. Yeah, it's not a kind of, it's not a weak crumbling thing. You know, it's a powerful thing. Yeah, love can conquer. And that's what I was trying to say earlier. In the face of evil, like real evil and hatred, love is really our only security. Yeah, it is powerful. I tried my whole life in a certain sense to try and protect myself, to kind of get all tough and hard and like I'm going to make it through this world. Do you know what I mean? It didn't pay off. It's just a stupid way of, well, not stupid, it's understandable, you know, because you get scared from life, you kind of put the defences up and you kind of try and get your way through with all your armour up, but you're kind of baggaged down and life's not feeling too good and you're isolated because you're full of hate, and it just doesn't work as a strategy for life. So in the face of real evil and hatred, actually, love it really isn't our only security. But like I was trying to say earlier, not in a conquering way, but just on a different level altogether. It's higher and it's deeper in every direction. And hatred's so smaller. It's yeah, like hatred's sort of small and pathetic, and that's how we feel. Well, that's how I feel when I feel hate. That's how I feel. I just feel small and pathetic. It's not like I'm beating myself. Oh no, you should be nice to yourself. Everyone feels hate. It's a straightforward thing. That's how I feel. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like I've kind of let myself down in a way. But yeah, love and goodwill. It's kind of sweet. It sweetens the atmosphere. It brings things together. It gives us energy and peace. And love opens us out to what's beyond our small self. You know, and that's a kind of knowledge there, isn't it? It opens us out to other people and creatures and just life itself. It just opens things out. Yeah, it's a kind of an emotional way. It opens the mind out. It gets bigger and bigger and takes in more and more. Takes in more people, more places, and kind of takes in reality with a capital R in the end. I think. I mean, that's what I've heard. You know, it's kind of like it's a kind of expansion of consciousness. Really, love. You know, metta. Yeah, it's an expansion of consciousness. It's not just some isolated thing that exists amongst other things. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's an unfurling that reaches out into the world and knows it, and then it's like it knows the world in a real way. You know, it's loves with the world. It's empathizing with the world, so it feels it, so it knows it. So it's knowledge. It's wisdom, isn't it? So it's yeah. So maybe it's kind of like it's what knowledge feels like in the heart in a way. Yeah. In truth, I think personally the only way to measure progress along the path, at least for me, is how much love I do actually have for others. That's my sort of benchmark. Do you know what I mean? It's like all the other stuff for me doesn't really work. Other people have different ways of looking at the Dharma and different ways of maybe judging their experience. You know, like sort of analysing. I don't know. I'm who I am. I can't really talk for anyone else. But for me, that's the benchmark for how I'm doing in life. Do you know what I mean? Do I have time for people? Or do I not have time for people? Do I care about people? Are they just boring or objects? You know, that's my kind of benchmark. And also, it's how does that love express itself in my life, really, and what I do. You know, so it's not just an internal thing. It's not just a feeling. It's a volition. It's like what you bring into the world. You know, what you're actually doing, and that's quite difficult, actually. You know, you feel like, I love people and I love things, and it's like it's kind of what you do for the world after that. It's like how you step into the world. Yeah. So in a way, love's bigger than you. I think it's not yours. It's not your possession. Like you love people. It's just somehow I don't know how it happens, but you do practices or you live the Dharma, and somehow this miraculous thing happens where you just something's going on. It's like it's not about you anymore. It's about other people, genuinely, and it's not like, God, I'm so kind. You know, it's some idiot. You know, like I'm such a loving person. Look at me, how spiritual I am, and I love people. It's like. It's not that. It's just happening, isn't it? And it's not yours. You didn't do it, but then you did do it. You did the method above, and you practiced. You cleaned up your ethics. You know, you really went for your ethics. You kind of befriended people, and then this thing happened. That's not really you. So it's sort of, in a way, it's something else trying to express itself in the world. I don't know what that is. There's all sorts of technical names for it and all of that. But there's this thing that is real, actually. It's quite shocking. It's shocking for me anyway, being such a sort of. I don't know what anyway, but do you know what I mean? It's like it's a real thing in this world. Yeah, it's a force, it's a power, and doesn't belong to anybody, and it doesn't feel like yours when it's with you. But it's just the best thing in the world, really, the best thing in your life. It's the only thing really worth anything. Yeah, so that's that. Good. So, so why don't we do? We can have a little sit for 5 minutes, and then I'll start us off in the Maitri mantra, which is basically just sort of saying the word love over and over again with the word Maitri.